going to go a little farther away so that when I hold things up, it'll show up better. Let's see.
How do I choose it so that there's no virtual background?
Go in there and then select none.
I don't see anywhere where it says none.
You have to scroll through them. It'll say
maybe it's
none.
all the way up at the top. There we go.
Yeah, it'll.
All right. Okay, there we go. That's better. Right?
Yeah, doesn't look as nice, but for doing that kind of show and tell,
Great.
definitely better. Okay.
Okay, ready?
From the top.
From the top. Hi, today we're talking about Outlander Knitting, a new book that's about to be published on October 27th. And I'm talking with Koko Pipkin, who was one of my first Outlander friends and one of my close friends. And when Random House approached me to review this book, I mentioned it to Koko, and she offered to make a piece from the book and discuss it with me for the review. I am not a knitter, and Koko is. So Koko is also the lead behind Outlandish Vancouver. This was all her idea, where she has a weekend every year in line with the Surrey International Writers Conference that Diana attends. So Koko's attendees who come to a suburb of Vancouver in Canada get to meet several cast members, and they also have an opportunity to see Diana. So it's a really fun weekend. Unfortunately, it had to be canceled this year because of COVID, but she's been doing some great things with Zoom conversations, virtual suite parties with a lot of the cast members. So if you aren't familiar with that, find your way to Outlandish Vancouver and you'll learn more about it. So this book, like I said, I'm not a knitter, is actually, I'll talk about this more, I've talked about this more in the review. It's actually a really lovely book, even if you are not a knitter.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. It's got information about historical accuracy, and that scene in Rent with the walking the wool. So even if you aren't a knitter, it might be a fun book to own. Koko and I, as we discussed which piece I was going to do, I have a grandchild. My first grandchild is going to be born in less than 3 weeks, we think. And one of the patterns was for a baby blanket. So this is what it looks like in the book. And this is
and that is on page 169 in the book.
Thank you. And so Koko is making this pattern today. So in general, Koko, how would you classify the patterns in this book? Do you think they're more for expert knitters? Would a beginner knitter get a lot of use out of this, or how would you rate the patterns here?
Well, there are definitely a couple of them that are easy beginners, and one in particular that I would classify as beginner, and that is the Sassanic Caplet Cowl, and that's on page 61. And I have a picture of it here.
Okay. That's a very pretty piece.
And really all it needs is basic crochet skill along with knitting with large needles. And I've knit some of these myself. It is very easy and they're quick. You can actually get them done very quickly.
Okay.
So it doesn't take weeks.
Yeah, that's good.
So you could probably knit one in an afternoon. So that I would put that at the most basic of the patterns in the book. The other one that's actually relatively easy is the Gathering Cape, and that's on page 17. And I'd say that's an advanced beginner, and it's really cute. And that's a picture of it.
It's nice.
And I'd say it's also perfect for, fall when it gets a little colder. You can have something if you're going to the office where you just have it over your shoulders, and it's just a nice little buffer. And that one is actually just called the Gathering Cape. So I'd say that's another moderately easy one.
Okay.
It requires adding stitches, so you have to learn how to do that. But other than that, it's pretty easy. One that I found that actually was particularly beautiful. I mean, I found it just stunning when I looked in the book, and I would call this an advanced pattern because you really need to know how to do lace, and it takes a lot of concentration, the use of markers. And when I show you the baby blanket piece in a few minutes, I'll show you the markers that I have. But this one is called the Sauvé des Anges Capelet, and it is modeled after one of the dresses that Claire wears in season 2 in Paris, and that's on page 79. And the other one that I found just adorable, and it was a really cool adaptation of one of the dresses that Claire wore, and that's the Paris Connections. So this is the dress that it's modeled from.
Yeah.
And what they are is they are knits.
Oh, okay.
And I just think these are adorable.
They're very different. You know, we saw a real rash of people making arm warmers and things like that shortly after the show started, but that's a much more modern interpretation.
I just thought it was really a neat adaptation from a stomacher, I think, into mitts. So, and then the last one I thought that was really cute, and it requires, again, doing a pattern. And we talked about this earlier, was the Reverisket Tea Cozy. So,
okay.
And instead of going on a cup, like a cup cozy, this is a cozy that fits over your little teapot.
Right.
So
right.
Something pretty clever to help keep your teapot warm. So, and doing patterns, that's a little more, moderate to advanced. The lace one, I would definitely call it an advanced knitter. But the one thing about knitting is that you can always advance.
Right.
So.
Now, as I looked through the book, being a non-knitter, and I had mentioned this to you before, and maybe this is the way it is, I didn't see a lot of consistency in how things were presented. Is that just the nature of the individual patterns, or what did you think of that? What am I just missing something because I don't know how to knit?
No, actually that's pretty common. You'll see a grid layout or a text pattern. In grid layout, sometimes there are different colors. Sometimes there are different symbols that are assigned to a different color yarn, or as in the case of the baby blanket, right? So there's a symbol, symbols. And in the case of the baby blanket, it's just text. And the pattern is just a paragraph or two, and it's just repetitive, and it just tells you in normal text what to do. P1 is purl 1, or P5, purl 5, knit 1, and then you have a slip stitch. So, but that's all done in paragraph format, and which I myself like quite a bit.
Okay, very good.
That's actually on it for easier beginner knitting, when you're not mixing colors and making patterns.
Okay.
But I'd say it's fairly common.
Very good. And overall, what is your impression of the book?
I find it fascinating. I love looking at patterns. There's a lot of interesting patterns in here, many of which I have not seen, and I've been in knitting groups for years, and a lot of these I have not seen before. So I think for anyone who's into knitting Outlander inspired patterns, I think they'd find it really interesting because a lot of these we just haven't seen.
Right, right. Let's talk about the pattern that you are working on.
Okay.
So this is the baby blanket waist, like we said, on page 169. There was an issue right at the beginning with the yarn. They talk about, in the book, they give you suggestions for, or what they used for the yarn.
Yes. When I looked at the yarn site, and the yarn, they are based in Canada. And so I contacted the author, the editor of the book, Kate Atherley, and she kindly got back to me. And she contacted Lynn Sosnowski, who was the pattern designer, as far as which colors should be used, because the summer skin, which is the blue in the pattern in the book, it's been discontinued by the manufacturer. So she gave me, and I will be sending this to you, Erin, so that you can have it in the body of your review, is a couple of different colors. So we will definitely provide those for you, for those who are reading. However, and those are all a wool blend. They're a merino wool. But for Erin, we decided to do a synthetic, so that because it's with a baby and it will be used, and it'll just withstand washing a little bit better. So what we did is...
Which is funny because this blanket will be going to New Zealand, and the biggest export from New Zealand is wool. So, and we are not using wool.
So I'm going to hold the blanket up. And there it is.
And we did have a discussion about, in the cream colored, whether to use that marled wool or color rather than a plain vanilla color.
Right. And actually that other color, it's more like a putty than a vanilla. But when I was at the store, I saw this other one that really brought in the browns a lot more than the solid putty. And if you can see it here, the pattern, it's supposed to emulate the Mackenzie plaid. Let's see. And through doing the different stitches in the pattern, that's how you get the plaid in the vertical lines. And then with the different colors is how you get it in the horizontal lines. And the finished product is going to be a little bit more than a 30 by 30 inch blanket. So I'll be getting Erin all the substitutions that we use. And it is, if you're budget limited, using the Impeccable by, what is it? Loops and Threads is definitely an economical version of doing that. And I mentioned markers earlier. So these are the markers that I used, just so that you know where you are in your stitching. So you'll want to pick up some of those if you're doing pretty much any of these projects. And along with that, these are 16-inch size 6 circular needles. So the pattern, I mean, it's 30 inches, but it's a lot easier to do it on something that's 16 inches versus 14 or even 40.
Okay.
So, and the other thing I use is really simple, but it's a stitch counter or a row counter so that you know where you are at all times. And that's almost all you need for this pattern.
Okay, very good.
And learning how to do a provisional cast on, which requires crocheting. So, and that's it. It's really cute. It's called the Mocready Baby Blanket.
Very good. And how far along would you say with the piece you have right now?
So this is actually almost halfway.
Okay. And how long do you think it's taken you so far?
Many hours. Well,
I
I'm
owe you a
holding
big
it
present.
here. This is one repeat of the pattern.
Okay.
And there are 3 repeats. So there's 3 segments. So you repeat the basic pattern 2 more times after you've done the first one.
Right.
So,
And this pattern actually gives you an adaptation to make that into a throw, a full-size throw.
yes, it does. And
Which
that's much, much bigger.
Yes, that would be fun to have. So you said you spoke with Kate Atherley, the editor. Is there anything she told you about patterns of the book? Any discussion you had that would be interesting to share?
Actually not. We just talked about the substitution of the different colors. She said that she's written 8 books or put out 8 books. So, you know, it's another editor to go and look for.
Right. So she knows what she's doing.
Yes.
Very good. Okay.
And I will provide her contact info to you also, Erin, on how to get hold of her if anybody has any other questions.
Terrific. So this book, as we said, goes on sale or will be available October 27th. Koko through Outlandish Vancouver, is that right? Is ordering a quantity of them. And right. The exciting thing she did was she contacted Diana Gabaldon, who wrote the foreword to this book. Am I right on that? In the introduction?
I don't know.
Oh, it doesn't look like it.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay. But, you know, the whole Outlander thing comes straight from her. So, so Koko went to Diana and asked about getting signed book plates.
Right.
So if you order a copy of the book
through Outlandish Vancouver, and I will provide the link, they will be limited to probably 20-ish, maybe 25 copies that will arrive with a book plate. But you have to get them through our link that Erin will have. And there'll be maybe 1 or 2 other little goodies in your book for you. But this book doesn't come out till the 27th. So you'll be able to pre-order these as soon as Erin puts out her review.
Right.
The other thing actually I thought that was really neat in here is that Kate dedicates the book to the fans. And I thought that was really special and really giving a nod to the fans, because she really does acknowledge that fans, as soon as the knitting was seen on the show way back in season 1, people just started knitting like crazy. And I think that's a really nice nod to the fandom. Yeah,
there were a lot of arm warmers and capelets and cowls and everything, because the knitwear on the show, as directed by Terry Dresbach, is stunning. It really is beautiful. And so it's nice for fans to have a way to interact with that and to create some of it at home.
And with each other in the different knitting groups. I mean, some of them have tens of thousands of members. Wow. So there are a lot of people to interact with on Facebook in these groups.
I'll put a list of those at the bottom of the review as well.
Sounds good.
So,
well, I want to thank you for inviting me to do this with you, and for taking me up on my offer to make your little grandson a baby blanket.
This is a fun project.
Yes.
And it's, I was a little daunted at first since I don't knit and I don't know anything about it. But going to you, I understand it a lot more, and it's really a fun way to do this review, to do this with you. So.
Well, I thought it was kind of funny because when I asked you, I said, so how are you going to do a review of something that you don't do? Which is when you actually told me that there's a lot of historical information and stuff in the book, which makes sense. So, but anyway, I'm glad that we could collaborate on this and put it all together for all the people who are going to be getting the book and want to do some new knitting projects.
Right, absolutely. And if you buy the book and you look through it and you make something, come back to this review and leave a comment about the project you did. The other thing that will happen is, and this will also be in the printed portion of the review, I will be giving away a copy of this book. It'll come straight to you from Random House, and we will also mail the winner one of the book plates that Koko has arranged for.
Right.
So make sure you look down at the bottom of the review for the entry for the giveaway.
That's exciting for a lucky winner.
Yeah, this is something that I like to do when I'm reviewing books. And just here's a scoop that you'll get early. I will be reviewing Clanlands. So I have a PDF copy of Clanlands, and we're working out a possibility of a giveaway with that.
Oh, that's really exciting.
So
I have mine on pre-order from the UK and the US.
Oh, and the US one.
Yes, I got both, only because we are doing the virtual party with Graham in the middle of November, and I wasn't sure if I would have my copy from the UK. So I went ahead and got one that I know will arrive in time, so I'll have it.
I think we're all excited about that too.
Oh, I know. Really excited.
The universe of books and projects falling into the whole Outlander sphere of everything, it really is a sphere of everything, just keeps growing. So that's great.
Definitely agree.
Thanks, Koko. And
well,
I will
thank you very much.
talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.